Hello and welcome to Lutherans Alive. My name is Gregory Held, and this is the program that brings you the story of Lutheran Christians and their ministries in southwestern Pennsylvania. With us today, we have the special privilege of welcoming our Bishop, Bishop Kurt Kusserow. Thank you, Bishop, for taking the time to be with us.
You're welcome. It's my pleasure.
We always appreciate your visit because you always bring us a wider perspective of the church and certainly inspiration for our faith as disciples of the Lord. Today, we really look forward to the opportunity that you bring to share international experiences. Many of the members of the church are aware that you recently spent time with other bishops of our Evangelical Lutheran Church in America in the Middle East, and we're looking forward with great anticipation to some of the things you have to share with us.
At the beginning of January, the bishops of our church went on a trip of accompaniment, awareness, and advocacy, visiting the Evangelical Lutheran Church in Jordan and the Holy Land. And it gave us an opportunity to see what our sister church is doing there, to learn about their lives, and to understand better the situation that they live in every day.
Give us a sense, if you would, how long ago this trip was conceived, what sort of planning went into it, and what kind of lead time before you actually went.
It was 2 years ago that our church was invited by Bishop Munib Yunan of the Evangelical Lutheran Church in Jordan and the Holy Land to come. When we decided that we would take up that invitation and come, he was ecstatic, and his whole church with him. Every year, normally in January, the bishops of our church have a week-long Bishops' Academy, which is a continuing education event, usually in Chicago. But this year, our intention was to have that continuing education event take place in Israel and in the Palestinian territories in the West Bank as a trip of accompaniment, visiting our sister church there.
It's interesting to hear that bishops have continuing education. Some of our members, I'm sure, would be a little surprised to think about that, but it's a point worth making as well, that we all continue to learn and grow in our faith and in our expertise where we are called to serve.
We've had teaching theologians in the past come and give us, again, that broader perspective, which is so important.
As you said, the 3 A's were a part of the focus of your trip, and we're very thankful that you're willing to address each of them with us. And I know today you did want to focus on that element of accompaniment and the importance and the significance of that, particularly in this time and in that setting. So let's go ahead and launch off in that direction.
Accompaniment, as we understand it, is being with the people you belong to. And in fact, that's the reason that I'm wearing a purple shirt today, is a sign of what that meant for some of our bishops. All of us were dressed in purple the whole time we were there, because that's what bishops wear in that part of the world, in the Lutheran Church. For some of our bishops in this country, particularly in the Midwest, it was a very uncomfortable thing to wear a purple shirt, because that's just not part of their piety. For them to be caught on film, in pictures, wearing a purple shirt was an unpleasant prospect, but they did it as part of accompaniment. A similar thing, maybe easier for us to understand, is that just at the time that we were planning to go, violence erupted in Gaza in a new way that came to a heightened conflict with retaliation and a very deep concern about our safety. After a lot of thought, we decided to go ahead with the trip. But there again, the whole point for us of accompaniment was to be with the people we belong to, not only when it's convenient and not only when it's easy, but even when it means giving up something of the self or putting the self at risk in some way to be with the other.
Some folks may have already lost sight of some of the traditional differences coming to the Evangelical Lutheran Church in America in that merger. But that concern about the hierarchical nature of the church and the place and the role of bishops still is a very significant concern for some Lutherans in the Evangelical Lutheran Church in America. And people may have lost sight of how significant that kind of a choice would be, even simply a choice of shirt in terms of how we appear in public to express our position and our relationships. It's very significant.
It truly is, especially for Lutherans that come out of the Norwegian pietistic movement, where what went wrong with the church was the bishops themselves. To have people occupy that office in any kind of a pretentious way is an unhelpful remembrance of that difficult past. And the purple shirt is a very physical reminder of those days and a very difficult thing for some.
It's kind of interesting that in this kind of a trip, which is certainly intended to be one that builds relationships and encourages continued growth and closeness in those relationships, might also imperil other relationships that are a part of the church as we walk together as God's people.
That's exactly it. And part of accompaniment is being with those people that you belong to, even if that makes it hard to be with others. One thing we were very sensitive to in going is our relationships in this country with Jews and Muslims here, and our relationships around the world globally with other Christians and Jews and Muslims around the world. And trying to balance all of those relationships in a helpful way was really a trick.
I suppose being as we're representing the United States, as you know, we are from a country that is viewed in such a unique way by others all around the world. It would be pretty difficult not to have that awareness of others are watching, others are paying attention.
That was very clear to us the whole time we were there, that the eyes of those in Israel and in the West Bank were watching America always. That's probably more aware there than we are here. But one of the great opportunities we had was to go and visit Bethlehem on the night when the Orthodox celebrate Christmas Eve in the Church of the Nativity. And that's one of the stories I'd like to share with you and with those who are watching, because that was really a life-changing experience for me.
We are at the point where we need to take a short break, so maybe when we can come back, we can pick up with that and launch into our next segment.